Hello, welcome to Shades in Justice podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Evelyn Hill, and you can always catch me at www.drevelynhill.net. Ooh, am I excited? We have on today a lady all the way from close to the Windy City, Chicago, not too far from there, Miss Shantel Taylor, and
Yeah.
we call her Lady Star. And we met under some very different circumstances, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a few minutes. But I just want to say hello and welcome to Miss Shantel Taylor.
Oh, thank you so much. I am so happy to be here. This is such a privilege for me to always share my testimony and also to tell you again, congratulations, Commissioner. That is a
Thank
huge
you.
that is a huge accomplishment and a blessing to your community. So I'm happy to be here and I don't know if you wanted me to go right into introducing myself, but I'll let you.
Yes, please. We'd love to hear a little bit about you. Feel free to introduce yourself. Let me just say that I met you in an airport. We
Yeah.
did not know each other from a can of paint,
Yeah.
and we get to the airport and we had to send each other pictures so that we could recognize each other when we saw each other. And I
Yeah.
met you in the airport in Galveston, Texas, and I'm in Kansas, Kansas. That's my home. You're in near
Zion,
the Chicago,
Illinois.
Zion, in near Chicago area. And there we were meeting to go on an entrepreneurial cruise together to
Yes.
uh, the cruise ship left out of Galveston and then went on to Cozumel, Mexico. So I just wanted to give that little background how we met.
Yes.
Now, feel free to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
Oh, sure. My pleasure. Again, I just want to thank you for this time and opportunity because, your show is going to be a blessing to whoever will take the time to listen, but they'll be able to learn some very important things. And so
Yeah.
I'm so honored to be here today because I'm just even trying to figure out where to start. Do I start with the 27-year police career or do I start with the over 30-year community activist in my community by starting off as a young pregnant teenage girl in a city called Zion. So, you know,
Wow.
yeah.
Either one
Okay.
works for me. Yes.
Okay, okay. Well, in honor of the Lord blessing us to meet one another, just as you shared in that airport, it was so special to me to hear at the time that you were running for city commissioner. You had not won the seat yet, but I knew you were going to win because it was just everything was just falling into place. And myself having been a former city commissioner, but I'm a lifelong resident of the city of Zion. I came to this city at the age of 5 years old. I ended up being homeless in the same city at 13 years old.
Wow.
Um, it was a city commissioner that came to my mother, my single mother, that did the best that she could. I was the oldest of four children. We were living in a dilapidated house where her friend let her know that if she called the city commissioner could come and help and we would be able to get housing. Well, we waited a whole week. We were so excited that we got on that city commissioner's calendar and he was coming to our house and he was going to help us get housing. Okay. Long story short, that city commissioner came and looked at my mother, a young mother with four children, four clean children. We may have been living in a dilapidated home, but we were clean and she had us fed to the best of her ability. But the way that that city commissioner looked at us like we were dogs and didn't offer my mother any help for us. We ended up homeless days later, and at 13 years old, that was all I knew of my family. I was a 13-year-old child. I was in whatever grade that is. If it's seventh or eighth grade, it gets a little bit, I'm in my 50s now. So my memory is not, as sharp as I would love for it to be. But I remember asking one of my classmates, could I live with her now, since I didn't have anywhere to live and my mother was living from place to place with my two little sisters, and my brother, who was a year younger than me, was sent to live with my stepfather in Michigan. All that to say, as a 13-year-old child, I kept it in the back of my head that one day I was going to become a city commissioner.
Mhm. Wow, what a
And
story.
when someone called for help, I was going to help.
Yes,
I was
yes.
going to make sure families were, able to stay together and not be, dissipated the way my family was over at 13 years old. And so only a God would have it that all those years later, through the teenage pregnancy, through the dropping out of high school, would I go on to become the first elected Black city commissioner in the city of Zion, which
Wow.
also ran for mayor. And
Mhm.
it was really an impactful 4 years, because my story did not just start with that city election. I had served on the library board. I had
Mhm.
been a volunteer juvenile probation officer. I had all of these hopes and dreams and a heart full of compassion that I wanted the best for my community.
Mhm.
That's why I love your podcast, Dr. Hill, Shades of Justice, because there are various shades of justice. And I
Yes.
love how God, in my 55th year of life, I'll share it because I still can't believe it myself. But I just think about all of the things that he brought me through. I mean, who would ever
Amen.
thought that I would even be willing to be in a place to run for mayor of a city, you
Mhm.
know, and to be city commissioner, and then to do the things that God blessed me to do, all behind the scenes that is involved in that.
Mhm.
Because again, before I was the city commissioner, I worked a lot behind the scenes right there in City Hall with the
Mhm.
sitting mayor, where I was the chairperson of the Human Relations Commission. And
Wow.
I'll just take a little pause here and just, say, because it's so much, this is my life, shades of justice. So I just, will take a pause to, again, say thank you so much. And this scripture that we talked about before the camera was on, I just,
Yes,
wanted to just wrap up my introduction, with saying that we serve a God that is into the details.
that's right.
I am so thankful that I am a child of God.
Mhm.
Before any, excuse me, before any city commissioner seat or before any public title, I am a
Yes.
child of God. I
Mhm.
am a humble and loving child of the Most High God. And if I
Mhm.
wanted to be even more detailed, I would like to say that for God, I hope that I would be a soul winner of many people.
Mhm.
And He blessed me to infiltrate the world system, basically, the politics and just
Yes.
all these things as a minister, but taking on the hat of a city commissioner and a Illinois Beach Sunrise Rotary Club president, all those things inside library board trustee, all those things inside of a community that, helps communities across our nation run. And at the center of that is justice.
Yeah.
But do
But before you read that scripture, thank you so
Yeah.
much for sharing that. I
Mhm.
just have to point this out. At 13, you are homeless.
Yes, ma'am.
That was traumatic.
Yes.
And most young people at 13, if they're homeless, they got a lot of issues with God,
Ye
because how could God let me be homeless at 13. How come God didn't step up his game
Right.
and help my mom? Why would he send a commissioner to us that didn't help us? But I'm reminded of the scripture, all things work together for the good to
Yes.
those who are the called of
Yes.
God. So we have to remember that. And though it doesn't look like it's working for our good at all at the time, we just have to trust God. So thank
Yes.
you for sharing that testimony. And now I'll let you get right into your scripture.
Oh, sure. Thank you so much for that. I always hope that I don't overshare, but I'm just that full, when
Yes,
it
that's
comes to life,
good. Yes.
experience and being a writer and an author now. I just, the details are just all there. But so thank you. So Deuteronomy 11:11. But the land into which you are about to cross to possess, a land of hills and valleys, drinks water from the rain of heaven, a land for which the Lord your God cares. The eyes of the Lord your God are always on it, from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. And I made that a Facebook post, and at the end of that, I put, let that sink in. Yes.
Well, I love this verse because today is actually January the 2nd, 2024, where we're in the beginning of a brand new year. And I remember thinking last year, this time, I had no idea I would be a commissioner. It was not
Wow.
a part of my goals. It was all I was trying to do was survive 2022, getting out of some stuff that I was in
Yeah.
2022. So I wasn't
Mhm.
hardly trying to do all this in 2023. So for you to share that scripture is just absolutely awesome. And two things I want to bring up. You said the land you are about to cross into. And so we don't know what's going to happen in 2024, but we do know we are crossing over into a new year.
Yes.
And you said that scripture said there will be hills and valleys. And
Yeah.
I can guarantee you with life that in
Yes.
2024 there'll be hills
Hmm.
and valleys, but God
Yeah.
is with us all the way.
That's
He's
right.
gonna always be there. So thank
Mhm.
you for sharing that so much. Now, would you tell us a little bit about your term as commissioner? What now? We heard the passion and compassion that you have for your community, and that you absolutely want to help. You don't want to just be a figure out there. What they
Yes.
didn't do for you and
Exactly.
your family, you want to be able to do that. And thank you for sharing that with me
Thank you.
because
Mhm.
that's where I'm at. I really want to be able to help uh,
Yes.
and do more than just hear about it, but
That's
do something about it.
that's
So
right.
tell us a little bit about your position as a commissioner. What were some of your ups and downs?
Sure, sure. Well, I was elected the top. Um, I was the winner. I was the top vote getter,
Mm-hmm.
and I had knocked a commissioner that had been in that seat for 26 years before me. The
Wow.
whole seat was a whole, five white men. And all of
Wow.
a sudden, this young Black woman out of nowhere, takes the seat that others have time after time attempted to win, but didn't win. But I finally broke through and became the first elected Black city commissioner for the city of Zion. Yes,
Wow.
in the state
Awesome.
of Illinois. Yes. But the role was very large, very big, because you hear the term city commissioner for a city council, and a lot of people are used to it being either a trustee or an alderman.
Mm-hmm.
But a city commissioner has total power over whatever position they are sworn in by the local judge, to be
Wow.
and
Mm-hmm.
so it's like we always understood that being a city commissioner, it was five people. It was five top people
Mm-hmm.
in the city of 25,000 people that ran things. It was
Okay.
five
Wow.
people, and in those five people, you're going to need three people to be on your
Yes.
side to
Yes.
get a policy
Yes.
changed, to get a
Yes.
vote through, to get a
Yes.
yes over a no. So it takes a lot of working together
Mm-hmm.
and a good team spirit to
Yes.
be an excellent city commissioner. And so I met the governor. The governor knew my name at the time. And, the Secretary of State, for so many years was Jesse White. And just all these iconic heroes, because, in the state of Illinois, that, basically has put three governors in jail. But anyway, before saying that, and I'm not making light of that, thinking that it's a good thing. I'm making light of it because when a person serves in public office, it's about integrity, it's about
Thank you.
honor, it's
Yes.
about being a leader, it's about being someone that others can look up to and that
Yes.
the community holds in high esteem. So I
Mm-hmm.
felt all of that.
Yes. 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 Well, I think just the paradox, just the narrative
Yes,
of breaking the mold from
yes,
all white men to all white men and one black woman. So
yes.
that, you know what that sounds like to me? That sounds like Deborah. When
Wow.
Deborah was the judge, it
Yes.
was 10,000 men that went to war and one woman. But
Wow.
she wore it well. And
Yes.
she in Judges chapter 4, it says, until I, the
Yeah.
mother of Israel, arose. You
Yes.
got to go back and read that. That is
Yeah.
so cool to me. Somebody has to rise up
Yes.
and
Exactly.
do what hasn't been done before. So that's
Yes.
you. That's you. That
Yes.
sounds out. Just saying.
Thank you. Yes, yes. Oh, believe me, I feel it. And then to have the name of the city be Zion, because some Bible translations say, "Until I, Deborah, a real mother of Zion, arose."
Yes. Yes, that's what it says. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. A mother
And
in Zion. So thank
yes.
you for being willing to take on that role. And what were some of the challenges? You look like life has treated you well all the time. You never had any rough roads. You look like one of the privileged and high rollers in society. Uh, but I remember a song that says, I don't look like what I've been through. There's
Yes,
a song that
exactly.
says that.
Exactly.
So, but what went on during your term as commissioner that were challenging for you?
Yes. Well, outside of breaking that barrier straight out of the gate, um, just, speaking real for anyone that may want to run for public office in the future that may watch this, and, just for us. But
Mm-hmm.
behind the scenes, there were evil bloggers, racist, evil bloggers.
Wow.
And it was a lot of character assassination and a lot of plots, and some things even made it to the local news.
Mm,
And it really required a lot of wisdom to handle a lot of what looked like tried to be shame and disgrace, trying to put,
mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it was some very sad accusations,
Mm,
and I'm just so happy that all proved to be a lie. But still, when you're in the midst of breaking a record and breaking through and becoming, a role model for others, you don't have time for haters.
Right,
And
right.
so I'm so thankful that although on the inside, I didn't understand why I had to go through some of the hard things,
Mhm,
that I had to go through, but I still knew that God was with me even though I didn't understand. And I
mhm,
still knew that it's very important that the city of Zion and the children and the mothers have healthy families, have a safe place to live, have a beautiful city, have a safe city. And now here I sat, one of five people, one of the top five bosses of the whole city of 25,000 people, able to speak to the policies on letting Walmart know you better make sure you keep those parking lots clean for our citizens, and
right.
letting the local state that handles the different traffic signals and things of that
Mhm,
nature in the community,
mhm,
letting them know we need a stoplight over here. I mean, it's
mhm,
all the things that goes into caring, not just for my household, but for
mhm,
25,000 people. And I took that very serious. I was
mhm,
the city commissioner that served over the public property, and the maintenance of all of the public property, and
mhm.
I backed up the public health and safety. And so it was a major position, because if
Yeah.
anything happened, weather related, or human natural
Mhm.
disaster related, I was on duty 24 hours a day.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. Wow. Which that information ties right into my next question. What effect did that have on your life mentally, spiritually, physically? That type of 24-hour contact in that position, how did that affect you and your family?
That is such a beautiful question, because, again, one of the policies that my own values are
Mhm,
God first, family second, and
mhm,
then everything else. Now,
mhm.
another portion that I mentioned a little bit about it in the beginning, but that city commissioner job, that was just considered a part-time job. My full-time job was a 911 police emergency dispatcher. Can you imagine
Whoa.
such a thing?
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
Can you believe that? I mean, it's like, yeah, it was a lot. It was, so mentally, it was God. It was the strength and the
Mhm,
grace of God, because my heart bled every time some of those calls would come in that just would, break anyone's heart, when death has, caught up with the family.
mhm.
That's sad. Or to be that voice, to, tell someone, could they step to the door? The coroner is at the door. I mean, to be that voice and to really get into that. I had to do that, and I did that for 27 years. And so mentally, God was my source. And if I were to, or rather, I know that I am talking to a young person that, will possibly want to run for city commissioner one day,
Yes.
or any public service position.
Mhm,
Take care of yourself. I would let them know, take care of yourself. Self care is important. Have self
mhm.
compassion for yourself, because
Mm.
I barely slept. I was always scrolling my phone or sending an email. You can count on Commissioner Taylor sending emails out at 3 o'clock in the morning. And
Oh
oh,
my.
I mean, if I would get up where, and then just a little side note, going back to the story of, how God blessed me to break into that position, because,
Yes.
receiving the votes to get there. That was in 2009.
Mhm.
Wouldn't you know, my name is Commissioner Shantel Taylor. The city commissioner at the time that came to our home when I was the 13-year-old kid was
Mhm.
actually still on that city council, and his last name was Taylor as well. Can you believe that?
No. Oh,
Look at
oh
it.
my goodness.
Yes, yeah. So that's just really something how, again, going back to that Deuteronomy 11:11 scripture, where the eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding the
Yes.
good, beholding the evil. But then we're also being molded and made in the middle of that, we as children of God and those that have a heart for our community or a heart to want to, do something because, I cannot I have to share that those years serving on the library board were good as well. Those
Uh-huh.
years serving as a volunteer juvenile probation officer, as a foster mother, I have had life
Oh,
experience. Yes.
wow. Well, let's go back just for a minute. You mentioned that uh, you were the 911 uh, recipient. I mean, you received the
Mhm.
911 calls. You was the dispatch.
Yes.
Um, and you had to do self-care. So at 3
Mhm.
a.m. in the morning when you couldn't sleep,
Yes.
maybe that was a time where you spent time with the Lord or
Right.
uh, because I
Mhm.
can't, I really can't imagine, uh, say, an 8-hour job with
Mhm.
911 dispatch and then also doing the commission where where you're putting out fires there. So you're
Exactly.
trying to put out fires everywhere. So
Exactly.
how did that work with you as a mom and a wife?
Oh, well, I do have to give my husband, Alan, and
Uh-huh.
my children, Sean, Nayla, and Elena credit for their patience. But they're
Uh-huh.
like any other America's kids where,
Yeah.
they would like to have seen more of their mother as opposed to, me at all these different events and, spreading myself so thin, because
Yes.
it was a lot, but I love my family so much. My daughters had piano lessons, and I believed in putting everything to good use
Yes.
because for 7 whole years, the school system had allowed me, because of my networking and being the
Uh-huh.
club president of the Illinois Rotary Club and serving on the library board, I was able to create a program, a fifth grade essay contest throughout the whole city. And actually, it spread to 3 cities. And it
Mm.
was asking the fifth graders to write about who the kindest person was that they knew. I would bring
Oh,
in the keynote speaker being our local judge, the police chief, the sheriff, just a whole big community connection. So it was a lot for my family. And what made me bring up the kindness contest is because when you asked what it was it like for my family,
yes.
the girls received piano lessons, and so I would have them practice at the Christmas dinners that we would have at the essay banquet for the fifth graders, and they would actually be pretty good. And so just,
Wow.
just making them, just believing that it's important to make the most of every moment because,
Yes.
can I say that it was easy? No, it wasn't
No.
easy.
Mm-mm.
But I just felt like I was answering a call when
Yes.
all the public service that God blessed me to do, it was answering
Mhm.
a call, even running for mayor of the city. It was being obedient to God, even though how that kind of tried to turn into a circus because, behind the scenes, you have haters, you have friends, you have smiling faces, you have all these things happening, and you still got to smile like everything is okay. But this person has actually turned on you. That's one of the things that I learned in politics. People will turn on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
Wow.
it's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And can you give me a couple of things that you felt like you actually accomplished with the help of the other commissioners, in spite of the haters, in spite of those that turned on you? Sometimes they turn on you on one level, but then your best friend on another level somewhere
Exactly.
else. So what are some accomplishments you can remember that uh, you actually brought forth as you were the commissioner?
Well, thank you so much for asking that because it's an accomplishment that just, holds such a dear place in my heart because, the city of Zion, Illinois was actually patterned after Washington, D.C. A lot of people don't know that, but the founder of the city was actually founders with friends with the founders of Washington D.C. back in the day.
Wow.
So much
Mhm.
so that, I believe it was Roosevelt, or I'm not exactly sure which. I apologize, but they
Uh-huh.
are the reason why we were one of the first ones to receive a post office. A United States was it was
Oh.
a big deal. But going back to I lost my thought that quick. It was something so good I was about to share too. It was
Uh-huh.
amazing. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
because it was, I mean, it's just so much. Okay, yes, because the specialness of the city of Zion and just being able to help other cities across the nation, what is patterned out of Zion is something that can be patterned to all the nation and beyond, because it all, you know, the centerpiece of any city are the local leaders that begins with the city commissioners and the mayors. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Oh, that is so awesome. I just wondered, like you said, one of the things that was your accomplishment was this opportunity for the fifth graders, and
Oh, yes, there we
that
go.
was one. Yeah, and
Got the other one. I got
yeah.
the other one now because I have traveled to Europe 4 times now. And one of the
Whoa.
things, yeah, I know. I am just so blessed at all the different monuments that I was able to see. But one of the things that I was able to accomplish as city commissioner was preserving the dome that sat on top of it was an old Zion hotel that was a ancient, it was like a landmark in the city. Well,
Mm-hmm.
the dome is still there and freshly painted, and it has a gold top, and it's, just a symbol of our city that is on the stationery of the city, and it's the city symbol, the symbol of the
Wow.
city. Yes,
Mm,
and so that's that. Just because I believe that people are special and chosen for specific things. And one of
mm.
the things that I was able to help accomplish was to preserve Zion's historic past and dynamic future by saving the city seal and the beautiful dome.
Oh, that's awesome. And did you get a chance throughout your community and beyond? Did you do more speaking engagements? And were you able to engage with the community more?
Oh, yes, and that was one of my special things. And, and then just to backtrack just a little bit as well, in regards to that dome project, it wasn't just me, but as you had asked, was it anything that we worked on together despite
Together.
all?
Uh-huh.
Yes, the mayor himself helped spearhead a major contributor
Wow.
to our city. And so it was a beautiful team effort, and just, teamwork is everything. It's not just one person. And I hope that
Yes.
my testimony doesn't make it sound like it's just, one person, because in politics, you have to
Yes,
work
ma'am.
with,
Yes.
yeah, you have to work with the constituents, as well as, the voters. And so thank you.
Hmm.
So I just thought about that.
Well, thank you. And just thank you for being a part of Shades and Justice podcast. This was absolutely incredible and amazing.
Mhm.
I so appreciate you, me being brand spanking new. I'm just getting my diapers on. I ain't even wet in
Yes.
them yet. I'm just getting them on. And so for you to just share with me your expertise, some of the challenges that you face, and the
Mhm,
warnings, and
mhm.
also the gratitude that you carry
Yeah,
along with compassion for others has been a
yeah.
help for me, and I'm sure to our listeners. So thank you for sharing.
Oh, thank you.
And we look forward to having you back on the
Oh,
show.
yes. Yeah.
And I would love to hear about you running for mayor. And we'll do that next time. But in the
Okay.
meantime, thank you for being with us at
Yeah.
Shades and Justice podcast. You have a great evening and happy New Year's to you and your family.
Oh, thank you, and bless you and love you. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye bye.